season with Harry Lyles. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
So, let's get this underway. We are currently waiting for a Mr. Mackenzie Stewart, who will get his car of the Alfa Romeo, but he's going to have to start at the back of the list because I'm not waiting anymore. It is 6 o'clock. So let's get on to it. Everyone's saying ready up, so don't forget to spectate there, Harry. Otherwise, you will get Macca's car, and that won't be good for him. So as we just put out that video of a class list, now Chargers 1000 is Ethan, and he is filling in for Aaron. So that is our only thing that we're missing out on. So when everybody readies up, we will get into it. So usual story is when they see the commentators of spectating, they should all start to ready up. So the time is ticking now. So unless if Mackenzie's walking through his front door, he's going to miss qualifying and start him at the back of the field, which won't be good for his championship fight. But well, that's what happens when you go to the gym at this hour of the morning or late mid-morning. But he knows what time we race. He is in the committee, so he would have known that we're racing. So, Australian circuit, Harry, what's your thoughts on it? And what's your thoughts for race 1?
Yeah, it's one of my favourite tracks. Not my favourite, but I tend to be a fan of street circuit. It's a tight track that takes a lot of skill to get around quickly. It takes confidence because there's a lot of corners that are quite deceptive. You look like you have to slow down quite a bit, but you can actually carry quite a bit of speed through. Very easy to hit a wall with a couple of high-speed corners with low kind of traction. In my F3 race, saw quite a few spins and DNFs because of spins. Heading into turn 1, it's with a lot of drivers is a bit of a shit show. You need to get through turn 1 clean, whether that means you need to slow down quite a bit or not. Getting through turn 1 is the priority. It's a tricky track, but very rewarding if you nail all your corners. It's, in terms of strategy, a soft to medium. People have tried mediums to hard, but it's not the fastest strategy. Soft to medium is the prime strategy here in Melbourne for our 50% races.
Well, funny you say that, because I done the one flying lap in my F5 race, and I was streaming my POVs. We got Albert will be the first one on track, and my Jeff told me a soft to hard was the quicker strategy, but then when you change it to softs to mediums, you're gaining like 1.8 seconds. So I don't think a lot of the guys in the F5 category quite knew that, but yeah, so these guys probably will. They'll know what they can and cannot get away with. So it's all now 17 minutes to go, and we'll find out who's got the best the best one lap pace. So yeah, so we got Albert out, we got Josh Banks is out on track. Oh, there's a big trainee coming through turn 5. Who have we got in here? We got a Williams at the back, a Renault at the back of that. So is that Sebastian, or is that... So we got Sebastian behind Josh. We got Josh is behind a Red Bull. That must be Andrew. Andrew's just let Josh through there. So Andrew's trying to find himself a bit of clean track. Now with 19 drivers, it's going to be hard to find a bit of clean track when everyone's trying to find the same thing. So we've only got 3 drivers left in the pit lane. And like normal, Tyler Beasley's gone out with the hard compound tyres. So he's selected the harder compound for the weekend. But he always seems to qualify on hard, getting a good secure lap, and then puts the softers on it near the end of the race, near the end of the qualifying stint. Sorry. So he'll be one to watch out for. We got Richard coming out of turn 2, coming down to turn 3 in the pairing of the Williams. He's on medium compound tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what he does compared to his teammate. Albert's out on a fly. He's just coming into sector 2. Now, I know Bailey can do low 19s in qualifying trim, so we'll expect to see most of this field hitting a 19-ish sort of lap, maybe very low 20s. As Albert comes through 11 and 12, it's one of the trickiest corners on the track. Albert's nailed that though very nicely. He's got a slow moving Toro Rosso there that's got right out of the way. I think that was Cush. So what can Albert do? Oh, he's got a McLaren here holding him up at the final couple of turns. I don't think it's slowed him down at all. The McLaren is just starting to get onto the move. So Albert comes across with a 120.9 to set his first lap on in the F2 category. We got Ethan does a one. Hang on, we got times changing all over here. Sebastian's done a 120.7. Andrew Lee only does a 120.77. So Andrew's 6/100ths of a second behind Sebastian at the moment. Bailey goes quickest with a 120.4. The times are tumbling very quickly. Toddy done a 121. Tyler done a 121. Ethan done a 122. Richard done a 122 as well. Who was that just jumped in there? Ken Doyle's done a 121.5. So the times are tumbling here. Josh actually must have invalidated his lap, because he didn't actually set a lap. So that's an invalidation there for Josh. Pretty easy to get corner cuttings here, especially with turn 1 and 12 are the two predominant corners for corner cutting. Anything you're surprised by at the moment here, Harry?
I'm surprised. I mean, come to think of it, I'm not exactly surprised with F1 drivers, but they're setting incredible lap times on their first laps here. And like you said, it's very easy to corner cut around this track. There's a lot of curbs that you like, exit curb especially, that you can actually get caught out for invalidation. In fact, I think it took me about 3 goes to actually set a lap. That's probably just me being shit, but other than that, besides the shit show that my qualifying was, it's still a challenge to get around here smoothly.
So Josh Banks actually, sorry to stop you there, Josh Banks has gone to provisional pole by 2/10 of a second on his second fly lap on these set of softs. So that's interesting to see. We'll be wanting to better that and get on a fresher set of tyres for the start of the race. But yeah, at the moment, Tyler's P10 well, he's set it on the hards at the moment. He's just selected mediums. Engines, what did engine do? He's on mediums as well. So engine's the first of the ultimate, the alternative strategy. And then yeah, so this could be a really good field, knowing that from P11 to 19 get a pick of their strategies. What are they going to do? You know, with the front 10 being locked in, you'd probably say most of them would be on the softs. I think Engine and Tyler would want to be closer up to the front, knowing that they usually get caught in a bit of kerfuffling on the first lap incidents. So they'll definitely want to be further up the field. Sebastian's on an outlap. Albert's on another outlap. Tyler's on his outlap. Ethan's on an outlap in the racing point. Someone's just jumped there. Who was that? Was that Addy? Yes, it was Addy, done a 121.2. So what's he behind his teammate? Only half a second off his teammate. And they're actually running side by side on track now. So yeah, that just goes to show that Addy's not far off the pace, like we were saying in the Class of Season 5 video that we only put out just a couple of minutes ago. So Mackenzie Stewart's put on the YouTube stream, we got a full grid, and then the crying emoji because he knows he's going to have to start at the back of the field now. And it's going to be a pretty tightly congested field, to tell you the truth. And when Mackenzie joins, it will be, if I'm not mistaken, the first time Trans Nations eSports as a community has a 20 car grid on any of their official league races. So congratulations to all these guys for pulling out that record, and hopefully we can get it all season. So there is Mackenzie now, has just joined. And like we say, he will get his car, being the only car left there not to pick from. So Josh is on an outlap. Bailey's just started his flyer. So what can he do now? Being reigning F1 champion, he's got that horrible engine glitch. I really hope Coachmasters fix that glitch for the next game. If not, the next generation of consoles, hopefully they can sort that glitch out. But we've still yet to get two people to set a time of Towler and Sanders there. Still to set times. So Harry, if you qualified P11 on softs, what would your strategy call be at the start of the race?
P11 on softs, I would... It'd be an interesting one. Whether you switch compound... might take me a minute, but... I think I'd actually probably stay on, stay on the soft tire, because to be quite honest, with this many drivers heading to turn 1, anything can happen. You can easy jump up 4 or 5 spots, even if you're lucky. If a couple people have an accident or two, and then all of a sudden you're in prime strategy with softs, just as if you set a great lap, like a P5 qualifying lap. So I don't think it'd be worth switching compound to mediums. I'd stay on the softs and keep it clean through turn 1. Hope for a couple accidents up ahead even.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards your thoughts here as well, because if you do start on mediums and you still get wing damage, the only way you're going to make it a one stop from there is to go on the hards, and the hards feel like absolute rubbish with a full tank of fuel on, as Toddy goes to P5. So even, P11 to P probably 14, maybe 15, I'd still want to be starting on the softs. Anything below 15, I'd probably go to the mediums and just try and wait out turn 1 and see what happens. But yeah, you don't want to ruin the rest of your racing strategy if there is any damage on your car later on in the race, or especially through turn 1 in lap 1 of the race. So yeah, that's an interesting point there that you bring up. So Tao now is the only one not to set a time, and he's currently on a flyer. He has got a Alfa Romeo just in front of him of Sanders. I've already forgotten his real name as he just pulls off to the inside. So, yeah.
I'm right on board with Seb here. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's all right.
Because he's about to start a flyer, do a virtual kind of right on board hot lap here.
Yep, I'll leave it to you, mate, and I'll have a swig of coffee.
Alrighty. So coming up to turn, the predominant
15, 16.
Yep. You need to get a good exit here, so that you can maximise your straight line speed down the main straight. Heading into turn 1, a tricky one. Nailing your turn in time is key to get a good amount of exit curve and entry curve. DRS activated on the first of two DRS straights.
Three.
Yeah. That exit curve there can be dangerous, and so can this one. Catching too much inside curve there can lead to a lack of traction, and you can spin and hit the wall. But yeah, he's gone through that segment of corners really well here into sector 2. This corner here is difficult. You need to catch a good amount of curve, but not too much to the point where you lose all your momentum. I think this is one of the trickiest parts of the track, but most rewarding if you nail it right. You can gain so much time there, and he's almost lost a bit of time there, but I think he's held it. DRS activated down the second DRS straight. He's got a lot of exit curve, lucky not to get an invalidation here. He's taken a lot there, and a good amount of curve here is required to get a good amount of momentum down the main straight. And he's gone a bit wide, but let's see what time he can do. I think he may improve. He's gone 2/10 quicker than his best lap, but that is not enough to move him up any positions. That is a good defensive lap, get a couple tenths away from the Red Bull of Andrew Lee.
And Andrew's only got, is it 4 thousandths of a second between himself and the other Renault of Jacob back there in P5. So I was predicting Andrew for pole here and quite comfortably get pole as well, but he hasn't had the pace so far. It's Tyler Beasley goes to the top of the table with a 19.8.
That is blistering
in his Ferrari. So that's pushed Addy, who actually crashed out there on that hot lap that we just watched just before Seb started that hot lap. Addy crashed out somewhere, so Addy's now P11. He won't have to start on those tyres. But that is an absolute blistering lap from Tyler Beasley. He's just come out of the pit box and gone, "Oh, here you go, boys, come chase this." So what can everybody else do? Didn't look like Sebastian had a lot more time to try and find. Definitely not 7 tenths within that lap that we were riding on board with, but there's definitely a couple of tenths there, but I doubt there would be 7 tenths. Maybe if you could get a bit of slipstream off Toddy for the main straight and the second DRS into turn 3, you might pick up a bit of time that way. But yeah, that is an absolute blistering of a lap. I'm very surprised with that.
It's actually a really good effort of Josh, who's actually, I think, starting his another hot lap here.
That might be an invalidation. He's kept onto it, so obviously not.
He could have grabbed a pole here, but that lap time is just absolutely blistering. 4 tenths up from Josh's time, which is not a slow time by any means.
No.
Oh, and he's just...
He's invalidated right there.
I think he's going to stay out, though. He's not got enough time to go in for another set.
No.
I think he might just work down his engine.
His ERS, cool him off, and hopefully go for one more lap. And this season, ladies and gentlemen, you would have been comfortable knowing that there was a bit of time delay from the stream to what the guys in here racing are seeing. That won't be the case this season due to Josh Banks is actually hosting the lobby this season. So everything we're seeing time-wise is what the drivers are seeing as well. So there is only 30 seconds left to get across the line and start your flyer lap. So Sebastian might be in a bit of trouble here on getting his final lap in. He's got 20 seconds to make it around the backside of the lake. Oz Andrews retired, so he won't better his lap. That's a big talking point, because Albert's actually jumped him. Sam's jumped Albert to do a 20.6. So we've got 9 drivers, 10 drivers in the 20s. So that is absolutely amazing here, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler's finished his qualifying. Josh is just running around again, so he's already invalidated, so he won't better himself. Bailey's not pushing either, so he's already invalidated. Sebastian didn't get a qualifying lap in, according to my timing screen.
He didn't.
He's finished his... So Sam can go again, but he's got obviously no fuel left. Albert's coming into pits. Jacob's on a flyer now as Robin goes up to P6, pushes Andrew out to P8. So not the race that Andrew would have been hoping for. Toddy has a massive accident there out of turn 12. So he obviously already invalidated. What can Tao do? He's still pushing, coming around the final turn now, running car 14 on the racing point. Comes across the line and a one. Oh, he's already backed out of it. He's aborted that lap. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler Beasley with his first pole position, I do believe. Josh Banks in P2. And Bailey Ford in P3. So this time last season we saw a big upset with Alex Little stealing a front row podium in the front row in the Williams, and now we've got Josh Banks there as well. So great qualifying for Tyler to be 0.3 of a second away from the rest of the field. I reckon he would be happy with that. He just needs to get a clean start now and keep out of carnage, and hopefully he can do that. But what's your thoughts there on qualifying, Harry?
I just can't believe what a lap that is, especially just in a normal session. That's not even time trial. That is an actual session with genuine tyre wear. That is just an incredible lap. Josh had a great performance though, grabbing P2 with another great lap. I think it was a 20.2.
20.2, yep.
So, yeah, great work from Josh. Be interesting to see who can get the better of each other into turn 1 and throughout the whole race. You tend to see a couple of close battles in F1 with the sheer driving ability. You tend to see some really intense battles throughout the whole race. So hopefully we have a good race to commentate, and with a full field, I think we will have a great race to commentate.
I don't think we'll be disappointed in any way for a track battle somewhere throughout this field. Mackenzie Stewart starting from the back, he would have liked to be around Andrew's sort of spot, maybe a little bit further up in front. So he will be charging through the rear of the field. Andrew starting P8, he won't be happy with that. He's in the danger zone. But from there, are you happy to do a grid walk? Are you, Harry, or would you like me to do...
I will give it a go.
Okay, so over to you.
Alright, so in P1, with a dominating qualifying time, Tyler Beasley in the Ferrari starting from pole position, followed by Josh Banks in the Williams with a time that was also pretty solid. Bailey Ford starting behind him, looking to go up a couple spots and grab that P2. Behind him is Sebastian Spicer in the Renault, and Sam in the Haas Rich Energy. Following close by is the McLaren of Robin Kreft.
Yes.
Who is being trailed by Engen.
And
behind him is hold on a minute. Albert in the Mercedes. Followed by Andrew Lee. He's dropped back in the formation lap, I think. Or is he?
No, he's P9.
Huh, I thought he qualified a bit further up. Anyway,
no, because he crashed out, remember?
Ah, yeah, of course. Toddy and the Renault got to speed up a bit here. Phil Fisher, Addy Ken Doyle, Sanders, who is Sam, Reiko, Tal,
Ethan. He's a reserve driver.
Yeah, I thought so. I think Richard Curry in P17.
Yep.
The other Haas Rich Energy
Manuel.
Is Manuel.
Is it Manuel?
And Mackenzie starting from the back of the field, not where he wants to be, but we are sure to see him climb up the field throughout the rest of this race as the drivers pull up to the grid now.
So, are we going to see any carnage on lap 1? Are we going to see a clean race? When we get 5 red lights, ladies and gentlemen, we are racing. So, Tyler's already revving the living engine out of that Ferrari. So we got a Ferrari powered versus McLaren powered, Mercedes versus Ferrari is the top 4. Can we see what the lights are out and away we go? They've all got a clean start so far. Tyler Beasley's kept his position. Josh Banks is there in P2. It's coming into the corner. I can see carnage at the back already. There's going to be someone. Engine's been pushed onto the grass. Is there any damage? I don't think so. They've all made it out of turn 1. We'll go back to the front of the field now. Andrew's fighting with Sam for P5. That is around turn 4 now, coming into turn 5. Yellow flag in sector 1. That's Engine. So he's still racing. We've still got 20 people here, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler Beasley's pulled a 0.6 of a second gap on Josh Banks, who's got Bailey Ford right behind him. Then we got Sebastian Spicer in P4, Andrew Lee in P5. He'll be wanting to charge through the field. Samuel in P6, Robin Kreft in P7, Albert, our reigning F2 champion, first time in the main game, in P8. Jacob Todd in P9, Philip in P10, rounding out the top 10, and then we got Addy, Richard, Mackenzie up to P13 already. There's another incident here. Is he still in? Yes, he's still in the race, is he? He's not actually reversing anywhere, so... Is that...
Why isn't he up? There he is. Man,
he's got disqualified for parking in a dangerous spot. So there we have it, our first retirement of Tower. Engine got a 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. That's unfortunate.
Mackenzie's already got a penalty for exceeding track limits. As expected, but he's climbed up to P13.
P13 already, yeah, so he would have had to take evasive action for that turn 1 and maybe even turn 3 incident, as Albert jumps Robin for P7. So as Robin's losing a lot of ground now. He's about to get jumped by his teammate. So Robin's just trying to stay out of carnage. There's a bit of front wing there bouncing off to the inside of that back straight. We'll go further towards the front. Tyler Beasley's already outside of DRS range of the next 4 guys. So as Albert's making an absolute charge here. He's just jumped Samuel in the Haas. So Albert making a good charge. Mackenzie's trying to get around Robin Kreft. He's on the outside of turn 15. Ken Doyle's trying to look up his inside in the other Ferrari. Josh Banks just sets the quickest lap. Samuel's in the pit, so he must have had he's got a 5-second penalty as well. He's lost a bit of front wing, so that will put him down to the back with engine. So carnage here for the first couple of laps, but out front Ethan's down to P15 as Sanders has jumped him. Mackenzie gets Robin.
Barely, he's almost lost traction with the bump there. Robin just absolutely giving Mackenzie nothing.
As you'd expect from these guys as well, they're not here to make friends, they're here to race for points. As Robin gets a massive tank slapper, he's now almost going 3 wide down the back straight. Ken Doyle's on the outside, probably not where you want to be around here. Can he pull it back in? He just... Robin's around! Robin's around! Will this cause any more carnages? Robin's been given a 5-second penalty for collision with Sanders. I don't think that was Robin's fault, unfortunately. Still no safety car though. Bailey now sets the quickest time. Bailey's actually jumped Josh here up the front, so I'll start watching the front battle here. Sebastian Spice is staying with these guys as well. So Josh and Bailey are having a great little battle now. There was talks pre-season that these two were going to be teammates. As Robin gets 5-second penalty for speeding in pit lane. What's happened to Phil down there in P11? Harry?
He has gone a bit wide there, I think missed his braking point. And that's dropped him down a couple of positions. He's in a battle right now with the Haas. Still learning my names here.
Manuela.
Manuela is trying to hold off Phil. But yeah, I think the battle to watch now is between Josh and Bailey. They seem to have separated a little bit now.
I think Josh will just be happy following Bailey, hoping that Bailey can close this bit of a gap that's formed up in front of Tyler. Now, if you would have talked to any of these guys at the start of the day, you wouldn't have thought Tyler would be at the front. You'd think that'd be Andrew's car up here in the front of the pack, but yeah, he's just following Seb around at the moment. It's actually coming down to turn 3. He's going to have a look on the inside. Can he make the move stick? Yes, he does. Seb might get the crisscross. It's probably not the spot to try the crisscross, because then you'll end up on the outside of turn 4. So Andrew's up to P4 now. Tow's left the session, so he's no longer spectating. But Tyler Beasley's actually pulling the gap out onto Bailey. So Josh and Bailey just can't seem to keep up with Tyler at the moment. Tyler is absolutely flying. And myself and Brett remember commentating Tyler when he was down in F3 back when we only had the 3 leagues running, and he's come a long way from running full assists and being quite pacey to running no assist and being even pacier. So great evolution there from Tyler to watch him grow season on season. And then we got Andrew Lee in P4. Sebastian Spicer just half a second behind him in P5. Albert doing a wonderful job in the second Mercedes in P6. And then you got Jacob in P7, Addy in P8, Richard P9, and Mackenzie now has one singular point to his name in P10. So
Josh
not a bad race.
On Bailey now into turn 3.
Into turn 3, Bailey's backed out of that. There's no point these two squabbling too much for this position. They've got a quick driver of Andrew right behind them. They've got to work together here to try and close in that gap. I didn't see if Bailey made a bit of a mistake there coming out of 1 or 2, but it did look like Bailey just let Josh through there into the braking zone of turn 3. So yeah, these two are very good mates, very, very fair competitors as well, that we can say. So Sanders down in P18 is... Oh, Josh is around! Josh is around! No! That is he's trying to hit reverse. I don't know why he wants to hit reverse for. He wants to go further into the fence. Oh, he almost gets collected again. Oh, that's...
No.
devastating for Josh. I don't think he's got any damage. No, he hasn't got any damage, so he won't need to pit. Those rear tyres won't be overly keen with him at this stage, but at least he doesn't need to pit. So could we see a redo of season 4 where the first part of his season, as Mackenzie's now setting up a move on Richard in the other Williams? Richard just shuts the door coming in. Oh, Richard's around as well now at turn 2. So within half a lap we have both of the Williams around. Richard spun it just in front of Phil. Almost caused another collision there. He's come right back on the racing line to rejoin. So all is happening here. Mackenzie's up to P8 now. A bit of a gap back to Jacob. Jacob's right on the back of Addy, who is that surprising driver who just stays out of carnage to get points. And at that, I think he started P12 or something. He's P12 and he's up to P6. So again, he's just staying out of the way and he's getting points. So Sebastian and Andrew are now fighting up here at the front. So Sebastian's got Andrew back there. Yeah, Sebastian's got Andrew back. So Andrew must have had a bad run through 11 and 12. But Tyler is now almost 2 seconds away from Bailey. So it's going to take something special here for Bailey to claw this back. He won't be overly disappointed with a P2 finish of the first race. Andrew now with DRS on Sebastian for the final step of the podium. What else is happening? Robin's in the pits, gone to mediums. Still a pretty close field all the way down to the P15. What's the entire gap? Is 26 seconds to P15. So top 6 is still 10 seconds away from each other. So it's not overly drawn out. But Tyler and Bailey will start to catch traffic very shortly with these couple of guys that have come in and pits. Actually, Tyler and Bailey have already lapped Robin.
Yeah, Josh. Now, I can tell from experience from my race here, around this track with so many turns right after another, if you've spun and you've overheated your tyres, it's so hard to gain traction back.
Andrew's in the pits to do the understock. Sorry.
Yeah, that's alright.
Albert's following him. So's Jacob.
It's early. They've
gone on to the hards.
Interesting. Toddy's come in for the mediums.
Yeah, Toddy's come in for the mediums.
Bit early.
As they all keep dropping and changing positions, I can't keep up with who's doing what. No. Albert's got the hards, Toddy's got the mediums, and Andrew's got the hards. So Todd being the odd one out of that pit strategy. Monwella has actually just come in for mediums as well in the second of the Hasses. Come out just behind his teammate by the look of it. So that's interesting. Now what can Seb do here? Or what can Andrew do actually? He's got Ethan right in front of him, who's still on medium tyres, so Ethan's tyres won't be dead by any means. They'll be 9 laps in. They'll probably just start to fall a little bit of time now, but Andrew's trying to dispatch of him pretty quickly, and he does before the turn of turn 11. He gets turn 12 done right. There's a Ferrari. Oh, Ken. I thought Ken was coming out there like a Sebastian Vettel. The top three are in pits.
Bailey and Tyler come in pretty much right behind each other. Tyler goes in for the, I think that's a hard compound.
Yeah, it is.
And Bailey's coming for the
Bailey
mediums.
and Seb are going the mediums.
I'm going to be honest. I think Bailey's going to overtake Tyler here over strategy, because going to hard is going to be much slower than the mediums. I guess Tyler's going for a late game kind of, or late race kind of strategy. I mean, he's
Andrew jumped
fast.
Sebastian too, so that undercut of 1 lap has worked supremely for Andrew. So, but now we got Kush. Kush is between Andrew and Bailey. So current running order is Addy Bettenbauer up in P1, Phil in the McLaren. You'd like to see that in real life in P2, and Tyler Beasley in the Ferrari is our current race winner. Sam's just crashed. Where's that happened? Well, it's happened at the second DRS zone somewhere. Can't actually see a car anywhere, but
how has he crashed there?
maybe he's just tried to oh no, I thought that was Bailey right up Tyler's backside. Then it's a McLaren of Phil, and he's got his McLaren teammate Robin just in front. There is a Kush has just got Seb for P6. Kush is yet to pit, as Richard comes in now in the other Williams. So Richard should make it now home on the medium compound tyres. Josh Banks gets another 3-second penalty. There's so much to try and look out for here, ladies and gentlemen. But Addy's 7 seconds up the road, still yet to stop. He will comfortably go onto the mediums and get them home when he decides to stop. And then you got the provisional race leader of Tyler Beasley on the hards. So he will.
Bailey's going for a move. Sorry to cut you off on Phil.
No,
that is done cleanly. Phil, of course, on the older medium tyre. That was reasonably easy for Bailey. He is now moving up to P3, chasing down Tyler Beasley, who is on the hard tyre. So now it'll be interesting to see whether or not Tyler can keep up the pace with Bailey, even though he's on the much slower tyre.
So Addy's in the pits actually. So Addy's come in. He's relinquished the lead. He can comfortably say he was leading a lap in the F1 category. He's just outside of the points. He's going to keep his position on Josh. Josh goes quickest with a 24.4. It's not going to matter at this stage, being P12. There's a racing point there spinning around at turn 2 of Ethan. So those mediums won't be happy with him at the moment. So we're still waiting for Phil in the McLaren and Kush in the Toro Rosso to come in. They are our last two out of the top 10 that haven't pitted at this stage. So Bailey is closing in on Tyler. And as we saw in qualifying, Tyler does like these harder compound tyres. So this could be an interesting battle at the end. I think Bailey might have just come in 1 lap too early for the mediums to get comfortably home. As Josh gets Addy now for P10, so he'll get 2 points now for the fastest lap and a singular point for P10. But yeah, so bit of different strategies here going on. would it be about now for Phil and Kush to come in and put the hards on, or will they be pushing these mediums and try and go to the end on the softs?
I think it'd be, they'd have to. Those mediums would be absolutely burned towards the end of the race. They would probably now, I guess, come on to the hards, but the thing is, those mediums now still have a bit of life that they need to use up for their strategy to actually be somewhat effective. But yeah, this is what I mean. Starting on mediums around here on 50% isn't, in my opinion, the way to go, because you kind of get jumbled up in what could be a better strategy and what couldn't. But for now, I reckon what Phil will do is stretch these mediums out for a little bit longer and switched over to the hard compound.
Well, if you're going to go onto the hard, we've only got 16 laps to go, so to get the best out of the hards, you'd want to come in now. If you stretch these mediums till about lap 18, that's 11 laps on the set of softs with a lighter car than what the guys at the front did, 9. Plus, he gets a massive tank slider into 1. 9 plus qualifying for the guys at the front. So 11 laps is about their limit, I'd think. So yeah, next couple of laps will give us a telling point. Andrew around the outside.
Oh, Toddy's going for a dive. Nearly.
Where are you?
Like Mackenzie's there, but Mackenzie's got the move done.
Oh, there's a Mercedes in the wall. That's Albert.
This is gonna get messy. Mackenzie's going. Oh my word!
This is a feisty train. You got Josh Banks at the back of this as well.
Holy shit!
Mackenzie's on the inside coming into turn 9. Toddy just had a look, but he saw Mackenzie was going for the same time. Oh, there's contact. He's pushed Kush right out of the way there. Josh has got a free position. And it's great to see these guys racing nose to tail, knowing that everyone's from around the world. So as Albert gets another big tank slapper, and he's got a bit of front wing damage, so he will be...
Josh has got to run on Toddy down the outside.
Down the outside. Can he make the move? No, he cannot. So Josh is on 1 lap fresher tyres than Toddy. So Josh can afford to push just that little bit. Albert's now under pressure from Mackenzie. Albert stays out. But I'm going to have to leave this battle because we've got a lead change here. Tyler Beasley's just lost the lead to Bailey Ford. As you were predicting there, Harry, the harder compound tyre has not worked for Tyler at this stage. But if you can stay with him, Bailey has got that 3-second time penalty. So it's not all won or lost for Tyler yet. As Mackenzie's up to P6 now, he's got around Albert. They're still squabbling back here.
Josh is just looking for the right time to strike. He's gone for a couple of, I guess, stalk out kind of moves where he's looking to go for it but not quite been there.
Toddy's trying to have a look too at Albert, trying to fill his mirrors up with that Renault. So yeah, this is great racing, ladies and gentlemen, and feel free to leave us a comment if you're still watching. As Jacob now just has a look, tries to get a bit of clean air into that screaming Renault motor. He's now got DRS. Can he make a move down the inside into 13? He's outbacked himself. Josh has got the inside line. Can he make it? Oh, Josh has backed out of it. So Toddy had to quickly flip. Oh, there's contact there between Albert and Todd, but there's no damage.
This is racing, but Josh has got to run now on Toddy.
Todd. He pulls it on the side. He's on the outside here at turn 1. This is not the spot to be.
No.
They've both left racing room. That's great track awareness from both of them.
Great racing.
DRS for both of them again. So what can Josh do against Albert? Toddy had a lap and a bit to do something, and nothing that prevailed. Philip's still hanging out, so I think Philip's going to go on to that softer compound tyre here and maybe even try and get fastest lap just to get an extra point. He should comfortably stay Oh, he won't comfortably stay in the top 10, but he'd definitely be great racing.
Oh my, what a battle here.
So we've just had a comment here, great racing from Banks and Albert. So
Toddy's got a run.
I think Josh has got a better one though than what Toddy has. Oh, he's down the inside.
Oh,
Can he pull it up? They're 3 wide. Oh, it's still Albert's got the position. How has he kept that position? I think there was a bump and run there from Joshua Banks. So this is great racing, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got Kush coming right up the back now of these guys as well. Now to save Josh, he's got DRS from when Albert was in front of him. So that will save him from Jacob for this lap. But next lap it's all on again.
Oh my
We'll go further to we'll go back to the front runners just for a quick second. We'll keep Harry down there running those guys, but Tyler has not let Bailey run away with this by any means. He stayed within his DRS so far and sticking with him. Tyler's just got a 3-second penalty of himself, so now it is on track battling as far as I'm aware, with both of them having a 3-second penalty. Andrew was 8.5. Oh, Tyler's just... Oh no, it's a bit of desync. Bit of lag on my side. Sorry, I thought Tyler went very deep there. He's coming around turn 16. And he's within half a second now. Can he get a bit of a run? He's saving ERS, so he's not wanting to fight for the position. But Andrew, near on 9 seconds further back. 9 seconds off the lead, Andrew. Phil is now in the pits. Where will he come out? Mackenzie will jump him, Josh will jump him, Toddy will jump him, Albert will jump him.
Now that Mackenzie at one point has picked up end plate damage. Will this play a part in Josh catching up to him? I don't know, but Josh has gone from about a 2.2 second gap, 2.5 even, to about 1.6, so he's gaining on Mackenzie. Mackenzie seems to have dropped back a bit from Seb. So effectively it's a battle for P5 between Mackenzie, Josh and Toddy that is now starting to brew.
Yeah. Toddy's just backed off a little bit on that couple of corners there. He must have had a minor mistake. He's just dropped off by about 0.7 of a second, so he'll need to work a bit harder just to pull himself into the fray again though. But Andrew's lost 2 seconds to these front two guys, so he's had a mistake somewhere as well. So unlucky for Robin. Look, I think Robin will be proud with this at the moment. He'd done a couple of F1 races in season 4. You know, it's not points paying position, but he's still fighting. He's still battling people. So I reckon he'd be happy with this result and this consistency of him, to see that he's still got pace. You know, he's just got to get up there a bit higher on the field.
Josh has got to run on Mackenzie now around the outside into turn 3. And he's got the move done clean. Got that
move done cleanly as well. Jacob would have been hoping for a bit more battling between these two to bring himself back into it.
That wing damage is costing Mackenzie a lot of time by the looks of it. He just don't think he can get all his confidence in his car now. Whether he got that wing damage before or after the pit stop, I don't know, but if he got it before, would the wing change been worth the time?
Well, this is the big talking point. I had a bit of front wing damage throughout my race, and you can see that on my POV before I crashed out. And it is really terrible through 11, 12. Even with just that little bit of end plate missing, the car just does not want to turn. So Mackenzie's doing well to keep up this sort of pace with that broken front wing. So, in all fairness, you know, Mackenzie would almost have to get driver of the day, starting from P20 to end up, you know, either P5 or 6. So maybe even P7 if Jacob can catch up. But yeah, you'd almost have to give driver of the day as Phil goes quickest on those fresh set of medium soft compound tyres. Sorry. So with 9 laps left, Tyler and Bailey came in on the same lap, but on different compound tyres. The hards will be coming into their own now. The mediums of Bailey's would just be starting to run out of optimal life. So this could be a race at the last couple of laps between these two guys. The top two teams in F1 are fighting for the top step of the podium. And then you got the Red Bull of Andrew Lee, 11.2 seconds off the pace. That's a bit disappointing to see, actually. I think Andrew had to go for the undercut to try and jump Seb, and it's obviously worked. But he would definitely have liked to qualify higher up and be fighting for the win with these other two guys, as Tyler's now only a 10th behind Bailey. I am keeping an eye on this timing board. And then we go down to P4. Sebastian, what do we say? Great racing from Seb, great qualifying. He's kept his nose clean, which is what we said needed to happen. He's consistent. So yeah, great racing so far from Seb. Him himself has said he wouldn't expect too many podiums, but knowing that he might only finish, 6-7 seconds behind Andrew isn't a bad feat at all. So and then we'll go back to Josh Banks, P5. What could have been for him, what should have been for him. That one lack of concentration on turn 12 there, spun it around, didn't got any damage, reversed it into the wall, but yeah, very lucky to reverse it in and not drive it in and retire from the race. But what could have been for Josh, he's still here. Robin's back in the pits now for a set of softs. So yeah, that's your top 5 at the moment. Toddy's now within DRS of Mackenzie. So that's a battle brewing for P6. As Sanders gets Richard down there for P14. But Tyler and Bailey will just stay on board with this battle here for a couple of laps. Give these guys a bit of screen time. They haven't had too much of it. All the battling's been in the mid-pack. So, Richard and Ethan now. Oh, Richard's in the pits. Tyler almost goes up the inside of Bailey there at 15. So I think these medium tyres are starting to wear now. Tyler's got the run. He's moved to the inside at turn 1. Bailey squeezed him as much as he can. Bit of contact. Keep it, Tyler, keep it. Oh, Bailey's lost it. Bailey's lost his wing. No, this is the second race of Bailey's F1 career where he's going to lose the victory due to damage. Monaco season 4. So both of them got caught out there by a bit of traction. Could this let Andrew now step up to the second step of the podium?
Will drop Bailey down to P4, maybe even P5.
I don't think Bailey will pit. Bailey...
that is a lot of wing. That would probably be dark orange.
Yeah. It's definitely... He's lost 4 seconds on Andrew just in this half a lap.
Done, and then put it in the wall. That is just unlucky.
Well, he kept the position. That there was room between them. Just a bit of squeezing by Bailey. Maybe shouldn't have squeezed him so hard. You can see how slow this Mercedes is now.
He had an 8-second gap
back.
to Andrew, and now he's lost 8 seconds in a lap.
He can't keep with his front wing. He's in the pits. This is absolutely devastating for him. The one thing will be put on a fresh set of softs, new wing, go for fastest lap. So now Andrew's up into P2. Seb's got P3 now. So
man.
if anybody watching this stream and talks to Bailey, I wouldn't talk to him anything about the F1 game at all. Oh, Toddy's!
Oh no!
Toddy's into the wall at the end of turn 2.
Oh no!
So that brings Toddy...
Same spot where Bailey went in the wall.
So it's all unfolding now. This puts Mackenzie up to P5, Josh back up to P4. It's all happening now, ladies and gentlemen. Engine's racking up a lot of time penalties down there. So when we started this stream, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't have thought of this being the top 10. Not by any means.
My lord, Josh has actually done a good job to come back from that spin he had earlier on. He will hold P4 unless he can get in the DRS of Seb.
Oh, Ken's retired as well. Where's that happen?
Oh my god.
That is at...
It's all going down.
At turn 10.
Oh, right on the apex.
Oh,
Holy
right in the middle of the track. That is... If that's not a yellow flag, if that's not a safety car, sorry, I don't know what is. We need something here to spice up this race.
They won't get a safety car for that. They need a fucking plane to crash on the fucking track for them to give a safety car.
So, will that catch out any of these leaders? No, because the car's already despawned. So, luckily, it didn't catch out our top 3. Sebastian has a Toro Rosso wired up his gearbox, trying to unlap himself. I think that is... Must be Addy. No, Kush. No. Engine. Yeah, engine.
Just in the last couple of... That just goes to show in motorsport, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Ooh.
And if that brought out a safety car, let's just say if, you would think lap 27 safety car in, would anyone pit for a fresh set of softs and try and make something of it, like a 2-lap sprint?
Well,
knowing that it's pretty much a free pit stop, everyone's trundling around at the same pace. Bailey could still jump Phil here and Mackenzie at this pace that Bailey's showing, so Bailey could still get P5. Which is 10 points, I do believe. Is it 10? 25, 18, 15, 12, 10. Yeah, 10 points. Plus the fastest lap that he just got. So that's 11 points for his title defence. It's a long way off from the 25 he would have got for winning the race. But some points is better than no points. Mackenzie with another 3-second penalty. So then, yeah, Phil's having a look at Mackenzie. Bailey's invited himself into the stray as well.
Oh my.
Mackenzie's lost
for
two.
P5.
Mackenzie's lost that
Mackenzie's going
position.
around the outside.
Outside, with a bit of wing damage though, that's not going to work compared to Bailey's fresh soft tyres and full nose. Bailey now with the run on Phil moves to the outside. Can he get this move done this time? He's outbraked him.
Phil's
Can he keep it on traction?
Which has given Mackenzie back
Mackenzie the position back. Josh Banks is only 1 and a bit seconds behind Seb now. So Josh could see himself back on the podium here. I don't think Sebastian's got any time penalties though. I know Josh has got at least 3. I think he even might have 6. So Josh won't be in danger of losing P4 unless if he's going 2, maybe 3 seconds a lap slower than what Bailey is.
Yellow flag in sector 3. What's that about?
Tyler's absolutely run away with this race now. Andrew's got nothing to show for it at this moment, which is very disappointing for Andrew. He would have liked to seen himself at least put pressure on Tyler, but at the moment Tyler's just running away. Josh is now within DRS range. So the battle for the final step of the podium is not even over yet. Josh wasn't within DRS range at the detection zone there at turn 15.
This might go down to the wire.
Might be a last lap lunge. Which is what we all want to see. Engine's back in pits. So Bailey's now only 8.6 seconds behind Josh. So he's getting... Well, Bailey's got 3 seconds of his own, so he's still got to close in to within 3 seconds of Josh to jump him. Well, time penalties. But Andrew has a couple of penalties as well. Josh has now got DRS coming into turn 13.
Ooh,
Nothing
Josh
doing quite there. He's right behind him though. Manuela's just been kicked from the session with the lap to go. So that's
Josh
unfortunate for him. He's got DRS.
Seb.
Now it's almost smart to not do a move here at turn 1 and do it at turn 3. Just follow him through. This is the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Final step of the podium. Seb's defending like all buggery.
Outside.
Around the outside, they're both on the same old tyres. Oh, Josh has got the move done. He's on the inside now. 4. Oh, still side by side.
What?
This is great racing, ladies and gentlemen. Sebastian has somehow kept that position. We're still seeing yellow flags in sector 3. I'll have to jump to the front guys very shortly and watch them cross the line, but this is a great battle here for P3. Where is Tyler now? Currently coming around this penultimate corner, coming around turn 16 to take his second victory of Trans Nations Esports F1 category. Crosses the line to win the race. Tyler Bealey, Andrew Lee will just jump on board here with Joshua for a second.
Right,
he hasn't made the move stick. Andrew Lee comes across the line to take P2. Josh Banks now with, he's going to hold P4. Great recovery from Josh. Not going to lie. Josh now comes across the line. Oh, he's side by side. Oh, Josh had a 5-second time penalty. Will that bump Bailey up? It does. It bumps Bailey up back to P4 by 0.2 of a second. Oh, so I will get these top 3 into the podium here. What a race. I'll just let you have a bit of a talk there, Harry, while I'll get these 3 guys in.
seems to be setting Josh back to E5, which promotes Bailey into E4. Great race to commentate, great race to watch overall. Just it's outstanding to watch these guys with such amazing racing ability just get so close to each other, nose to tail, just all the way throughout the track, going 2 wide, 3 wide in places that are normally only, have enough room for one car. Just incredible race to watch. We'll get the top 3 in here.
Yeah, still waiting for any of them to accept the invite. But yeah, Tyler with his second win. Tyler, mate, if you're still watching the stream, if you have a microphone, even if it's your mobile phone hands-free kit that plugs into your controller, please do, because we'd love to get a word with you, and Andrew and Sebastian as well. But there we have it. No one within the top, when the penalties come back, top 11 had a race without penalties. So Richard was the first one to not get any penalties in P12, 1 lap back. And we had Ken Doyle, Jacob Todd, Sam and Tao all DNF or disqualified for Tao's incident there, parking in a dangerous position. It doesn't look like we're going to get any of our top 3 into the podium. I'll just try and re-invite them, and hopefully they come in. Andrew's in. So we'll start with you, Sebastian Spicer, P3, mate. Talk us through your qualifying first of all. I forgot to look actually where you qualified. I think it was P4?
Yes.
Yeah, talk us through that lap, mate.
Wasn't exactly the greatest lap, but obviously wasn't at the end of the session, which is probably where the optimal is, but I just thought good enough to get me P4, which is what it was, and actually headed into the race.
Yep, and then the race, mate. Where do we start?
Yeah.
Just talk us through your thoughts of that 29 lap race, mate, because that was intense.
Yeah, it was a bit full on. The first couple laps, obviously, I've been working on my starts, got off to a decent one, ended up holding my position today, which is good. Yeah, first stint was basically about eyeing each other off, and then Josh had a moment, dropped early. I noticed that Andrew didn't quite have the pace that he normally did. I tried to capitalise on it, but the stint obviously got wing damage trying to overtake. Obviously for position, but I didn't think the car really should have been fighting because he's in his own race. Then wing damage for the rest of the stint. Obviously Josh caught up to me, and I put on a show at the end of the race because why not?
And what a show that was, that last lap, mate. Were you holding your breath for that 1 minute and 30 odd seconds around the track, trying to hold Josh off?
I knew Josh had penalties, so even if I lost position, I still got it. But I really wanted to finish that on track, so that's why and I knew I could trust Josh a bit more in terms of racing.
Yeah. So, a great race from you there, mate. Great way to start off season 5 with a podium paying position. We'll go over to Andrew Lee now. Andrew qualified P8, I think it was, mate. Were you surprised with the pace that everyone else was showing?
No, not really, to be brutally honest. I came into this morning expecting that things would probably be very close. Qualifying, I think, from 5th down to about 10th. I think there was like a 10th in it between 5 cars, so that just shows how close it was. And unfortunately just made a mistake on my final lap. I think it was down into turn 2 or turn 3. just went deep, lost about 3/10 there, so I definitely think I could have been maybe second row of the grid, but unfortunately just, as I said, made a little error and put me back down in P8 or P9, wherever it was. But man, that race was hectic. I certainly didn't expect to come away with P2.
Just talk us through that race, mate. Talk us through your start first of all, because you're in the carnage zone, as we call it. Back there
right.
and coming to turn one, you all seem to make it through turn one, a 20 car field through turn one, so that must have been a relief to make it through with no damage.
Yeah, it was. I'm not going to lie, I had my fingers crossed that I'd survive. I certainly didn't think everybody would, but apparently everybody did from what I've heard. But the start was good, got a pretty nice launch. I was able to jump. I think I was able to jump a Mercedes that was alongside me. I was 3 wide into turn 1 with, I can't actually remember who it was, but I think there was a little bit of contact made just up ahead of me, and that enabled me to sneak through a little gap to get up to, I think it was P6. Then I made a move on a Haas to get up to P5, and then for the rest of that first stint, I really just tried to stay with the likes of Seb and Tyler and Josh and all those guys. But I don't know whether I might have just made a wrong setup adjustment there in my very last practice before we actually went to the race, but the car was just wasn't handling quite the way that I wanted it to. Just it was very tail happy, and it was very oversteery on worn tyres as well. So it was a little bit difficult to handle. But as I said, from P8, P9 on the grid, I'll take P2. I'm not exactly sure what happened between the front two. I expected to come home in P3, but all of a sudden I see Bailey slowing down on the racetrack in front of me, so I don't know what happened there. But I'll take P2, and congrats to Tyler on a win to open season 5. So we'll see where things go from here.
Yeah. So Harry, you got anything you want to ask these two guys?
Not really. Just great consistency from all drivers in the field. Just want to point out that Andrew, just like great work climbing up from, like Mark said, that danger zone, carnage zone. Very dangerous to be there around into turn 1. Just throughout the race, great consistency from you and lots of the drivers. But that's really all I have to say.
So we'll leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in about 10-15 minutes. I think Mackenzie Stewart has finally found a bit of spare time to do a Who Are You. So tune in for that if you wish to know who Mackenzie Stewart is. I'm Mark Bratby, followed in commentary for Season 5 with Harry Lyles, and our third and second podium paying positions of Andrew Lee and Sebastian Spicer. Tune in next week for Bahrain, which will be another chaos filled race. Hopefully we get our 20 drivers again, and we'll see you all next week for the Bahrain Grand Prix.